Hello everybody and welcome to what will probably be the final episode of Let's Play Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. Strap in, it's going to be a long one. But I mean, everything is just getting all intense and junk because we found out that the killer of Neil Marshall was, in fact, Emma Skye. So yeah, that's kind of messed up. Also we kind of have to, finish up this trial for Lana as well. So yeah. Anyway, sorry Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Oh yeah, that too, because it was also Edgeworth's mistake that caused him to... Well, no, let's start this whole thought process over. Essentially, Edgeworth got a, quote, innocent man, unquote, the death penalty. I mean, granted, the dude was still a serial killer, but he didn't kill a police officer, so... Yeah, in America, that actually would net you a lighter sentence. Yeah. But anyway, I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is all my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, yes I am. I'll come back later. Also, give me a second, this TV seems to be up a little loud. It actually wasn't, my mind's just playing tricks on me. Okay. Oh, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You got a lot of nerve, pal. Ain't a detective running all around while on duty. Yeah, top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it Lana's having you run errands again? Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here. She asked me to give you this if there was a break in today's trial. Evidence law? Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. You could at least study some evidence law, really. Chief Prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said, if you're planning to take him on, you're gonna need this book. Him. I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Securely slipped evidence law into pocket. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. All that's left now is the Chief Prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, Detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat, despite all these allegations being thrown at me? Mr. Edgeworth, the real trial today hasn't begun yet. What? What else is there left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined with this forged evidence you are aware of. Emma Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death. And now, you're telling me you want to do more? You gotta be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, Detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodwin. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. Okay, so, it's like essentially 40 minutes later, so, let's just say in that time, I decided... I can't select it from right here. Are you serious, bro? Okay, well, fine. I was about to say, like, in that time, we decided to read up about evidence law. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Thank you. Alright, so now, let's look at some evidence law, shall we? Miss Skye explains the 2 rules of evidence law. Rules for submitting evidence. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Rule 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case in trial. Interesting. Alright then, it must be relevant to the case. Good to know. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. The inquiry committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Yes, well, normally this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness, but, cough, cough. This isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that Mr. Edgeworth may have, struck a bargain. You'd think I may have manipulated the witnesses? I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone's been talking and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. What? But there's never been a case example. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accept the prosecution's proposal. Then it's settled. The, defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright, you do realize this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. The defense calls... The time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Yeah, that's right. We're going to call out Mike Meekins. No. We're actually going to call out this trick right now. No. Him. No, he's already dead. He's not really going to say much of anything. We just had you on the stand. You're in prison right now. I guess that just leaves you. Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything? As a defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right, bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this? Some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, you want to play hardball, huh? But please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto. What's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh? Like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. What is with people honking the horns outside? You are a trash man picking up the garbage. You don't need to be honking your horn like that. Okay. But yeah, is that a threat, sir? Weapons? Sure. Take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Very well, the witness may now begin his testimony. SL9 incident. I'm just going to wait for this garbage truck to pass because this is kind of ridiculous. Alright, testimony time. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Is that when Dark was arrested? Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Dark bumped his head. I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut. If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I'd better hit him hard and fast. Poor choice of words there, Phoenix, but okay, I get what you mean. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. As I recall, the ceremony was held at the police department that day. Yes, that's right, I guess you could say I'm a workaholic. After winning his award, Neil was all fired up too. That's probably what spooked Dark and made him run away like that. Was the defendant Lana Skye also present in the room? I don't quite remember. At the very least, she wasn't there when Dark ran for it. Make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. What do you mean, slipped up? Or this, so the two of you ran immediately after him, right? That's right, but Dark made it to the elevator first. So Neil and I split up. He went upstairs and I went downstairs. I guess you could say he got lucky. What's this about a power outage? Oh, that. The elevator stopped all of a sudden and I got the shock of my life. Well, probably not as shocked as Neil when that knife went into his heart, though. That's not funny. It really isn't. And yet I'm laughing, okay? Just whatever. Could you tell us what you saw? It was a shocking sight. Neil and that serial killer were lying in a heap on the floor, all tangled together. Dark was also lying collapsed on the floor? Yes, apparently he hit his head and was knocked out. Next to them were those two poor girls, Lana and Emma. Lana was cradling Emma in her arms. Looking back at it now, she must have already known what her sister had done. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. How can you know that? Because of the victim's body. It had already been moved. So that means you found the body near Lana's desk. That's right. I think you said earlier. It was my suit of armor that really stabbed the prosecutor? Yes. Anyway. See, nothing to do with the forgery. So you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you arrived at your office. That's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt, but moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable no matter what the circumstances. Is that how it really went down? Staring at the witness won't do you any good, Mr. Wright. If you are going to stare at anything, you'd better be off staring at the court record. Worthy, always the smooth talker. But which piece of evidence ties Gant to the forgery? Lana did admit to forging evidence, but that can't be the whole truth. Somehow I've got to link Gant to the incident. So something that will link Gant to the incident. Arranged the crime scene. You can see I had nothing to do with the forgery. Okay, so trying to think here. I mean, the unstable jar. Final fragment was found in Gant's safe. Victim wrote Emma on it. So, I guess you could say this can tie him to it? You claim he had nothing to do with the forgery, because why else would this be in his safe? I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this jar, for example. That's that blue battery you showed us earlier. A piece of this jar was discovered in your safe. Not only that, but the evidence list I presented earlier was actually found inside your desk. Oh yeah, that too. It was found where? You see, Chief Gant? These articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation. Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this? Huh. Here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So you admit to it then? That you were involved in the forgery? Who, me? Or do you mean you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. I mean, I don't think they're going to drop his salary. I think they'll just drop him from the force, if you know what I mean. But okay. Yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene. My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. Kids? The judge is older than you, dog. Whatever, evidence of forgery. Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. They were found after Dark was convicted and they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. When investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol. You do understand that I am the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Oh, indeed. I believe I will press charges so you won't make the same mistake again. My apologies, Chief. Would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know. Alright, Udgy. In return, though. I know. That place, right? Huh? What are these guys? Telepathic? Does he have the judge in his back pocket? Alright. I'd appreciate if you'd stop making these ridiculous allegations. Yes, you do have a point. You wouldn't have the guts to do something like that. What? I'll have you know, back in the day, I once broke into a cattle ranch and tipped. But Mr. Wright, what are you saying? Anyway, you can't prove you didn't carry in the evidence, can you? If you have proof to the contrary, you're going to need it later. Later? What are you talking about? What else? I'm talking about when your fingerprints are found. Yes, if they're found inside my safe, they would prove your investigation was illegal. Grr. I never faced anyone as slimy as this guy. I mean, to be fair, you should have known this. Because technically that was an illegal investigation. He didn't have a search warrant. Though a police officer was present and this was on police headquarters, so... Huh. That's actually something I'm gonna have to think about. Alright, whatever. Can't prove when these pieces of evidence were discovered. What do you mean by that? This is all purely hypothetical, of course. But suppose I did place those items in my safe. Such an act wouldn't necessarily constitute forgery. If concealing evidence found at a crime scene isn't forgery... I'm not through speaking yet, Mr. Wright. It all depends on when the evidence was discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. Are you saying this jar fragment wasn't discovered in the initial investigation? It would appear not. After all, it wasn't listed in the evidence list. For all we know, it could have suddenly materialized the day after Dark was sentenced. Oh, and wouldn't that be convenient? Right. The Chief is talking about a possibility, so long as you can't rule that out. Your remarks, however clever they may be, only succeed in wasting time. Tell me something I don't know. Come now, Mr. Wright. Think about it. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. How can you look at me in the eye and say that? Because I'm innocent. Remember? Who was it that murdered Neil? I'm not sure I care for the word murder here, but in the end, the person responsible for Mr. Marshall's unfortunate demise was Emma Skye. Well, now do you see? Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Really, Chief Gant? At the very least, there is one very large benefit you've reaped from all this. Oh, I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? That would of course be the position you have, Chief of Police. Oh! The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in itself is sufficient motive. Ha! 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 Oh, that's a good one. Huh? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SO9 merely sped up the inevitable a little. Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes. He was going to be made chief anyway. Yeah. Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at. So that means there is only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, you did it for someone else. Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There. It's out in the open now. Udgy, would you mind if I change my testimony a little? By all means, please do. I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. Well, that's a weird statement to make. Okay. I mean, that's kind of what accomplices do. Like, there's some kind of mutual benefit there, but alright. Nothing in it for you. Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, not his little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you'd better think again. You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone. Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though. Huh, huh. Oh, that's a good one, Worthy. Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out? Given his selfishness... I mean... yeah, like it's been over a year since I went through this game. But like, no. He wouldn't have helped somebody out. But I can't think of how it would help him. That means he wouldn't have helped out anyone. Relax and take a deep breath, Mr. Wright. Try to think outside the box. After all, that's what you're good at, isn't it? Think outside the box. I never thought I'd hear him tell me that. The question isn't who would the chief help, or who would the chief help, gotta put the stress there, who would ask the chief for help. If someone did that, he'd be sure to find a way to benefit from that person. It appears the defense has nothing more to say. Chief, would you please repeat your testimony from the beginning? Oh, okay, I guess alright, well, yeah, I was thinking differently there, like, because I thought it would be like, who would he make his accomplice? The question would be like, who would ask him for help and like making him an accomplice? It's all over the place, but yeah, I just need to get back to that choice again. I made a mistake, but yeah, like what they said, like, oh wow, okay, he's even going through the logic for me here. Okay, true, you might not help out anyone for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone. Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand. That's not what I mean. But I mean, he will lend you $50 if you ask, so I mean, you know, there's that. Very well, I'll ask, who is this person you believe Chief Gant may have helped forge evidence? I mean, that's obvious. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye, the defendant? I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister, Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would also have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit. Self-profit? What do you mean? After the SO9 incident was resolved, Lana Skye was appointed chief prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant. But how would he profit from all of this? He would be able to use the chief prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations. Do you mean to tell me that despite the chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Oh wait, you must mean puppet as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind. How did you become a judge? Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. Your motive, to appoint her as chief prosecutor so you could control her. Right on, my boy. You have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana. She's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant. I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than a mere conjecture. Unless, that is also what happened in this incident. This incident? Which one would that be? Of course I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodwin. The chief prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her. Worthy, you better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Just what do you mean? What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodwin. Not only that, but the Chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement. What? What? Order! 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 I said order! Mr. Wright, you can't be serious. Huh? This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in law enforcement, in our law enforcement agency. To accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder? That's impossible. Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier to understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There is no turning back for us now. It looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this. Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder? Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell. I see. Alright then. Show us this evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodwin. Just remember, it better be good. Give me a second here. My TV's acting up. Alright, so, evidence that ties him to the murder. Just remember, it better be good. Okay, so, I mean, not this. It has Emma's prints on it. It ties him to the murder of Bruce Goodwin. I mean, that is his ID number. And that's not what I wanted to check. And the autopsy report, an hour and a half of 4 p.m. Yeah, between 4 and 5:30. But I don't know if that's good enough. I mean, that's really the only thing we have. I mean, well, I mean, the fact that Edgeworth had to go get this screwdriver by Gant's request. I'll take a chance with this. This is the ID card list. Oh yeah, now they're tripping me up by not having the music stop. So, oh yeah. Yeah, this is in-game junk right here. Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 7777777. Sorry, but there is no way you can prove that's my card number. It's your number. What? How do you know that? The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code. 7 digits? You don't mean... I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7777777. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. Ooh. Dog looking kinda mad. Order! Order! Chief Gant, what do you have to say? Nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card. Chief Gant, so you admit it? You entered the evidence room? On the day of the crime? What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodwin wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him? In days, Chief Gant? I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodwin. What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt. No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting? In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof that the victim went to... Dang, could you let me finish reading that? Show us proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime. Alright, and we got some proof right here, right here. Yeah, we got some proof right here. Check that out. To be submitted to the chief. Couldn't even finish doing it out, though. Detective Goodwin lost his ID card on the day of the crime because of Officer Jake Marshall. To be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it, see? So Detective Goodwin filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the Chief of Police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to? Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Oh! Detective Goodwin took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him? There is no other way the murderer and Detective Goodwin could have entered the room. Hold on, let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the Chief of Police, murdered poor Goodwin. Exactly. But wait! The Chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. But you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodwin, it would have been found on his body. No! That is a breakdown. Chief Gant, you didn't! The murder was most likely committed on the spur of the moment. No one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why else? To dispose of Detective Goodwin's body. However, the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know. And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey you, take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time I thought it was a useless clue just taking up space. How could the chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence. To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. Right here. Cause see, he wanted Edgeworth to take some evidence with him. The evidence had to be picked up at the police department. This is how we moved Detective Goodman's body. What's that? A screwdriver? What does that have to do with this case? Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is this screwdriver doing here? It's here because... I was asked to go by Chief Gant, no less. He told me he wanted me to keep it at the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back to the prosecutor's office. It's Chekhov's screwdriver. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office. But you did, because Chief Gant asked you to. You mean The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car. Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car? Yes, unless of course you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to carry evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye. Order! 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 What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations? Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It's a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Chief Gant, please say something. I believe... Your time's up. My time's up? Sorry, Wright, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're going to make it in time for the early bird special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? Police Chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now. What? This is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy. I stabbed old Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with. I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright? Your Honor? Do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Skye dispose of his body. Do I have any concrete proof? I have no proof yet. There's no use showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor. At present, I have no conclusive evidence. See? In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief. What? I don't gamble unless the stakes are high. It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Aji, I'll leave the rest to you. Well, this sucks. I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency. Okay, that's a typo and a half. What? Thank you for stopping them from giving me a strike, Edgeworth. Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her. Mr. Edgeworth? What do you mean? There is one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth. Another witness. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. but Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else, one more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room. Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person? Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today. Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist? She may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls forth Dick Gumshoe. No, that's not a lady. It can only be Lana Skye. Phone's ringing. Give me a second here. Alright, back in action. The defendant, Miss Lana Skye. She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task, to dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders. Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor. Very well. The court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. The court is now in Hold on. Huh? Chief Gant, I thought you were going to eat. Listen good, Lana. He's talking to Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claim, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. This isn't good. Of course, you never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright then. I've got a lunch date to meet. Okay, if there aren't any further objections, this court is now in recess. Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edgeworth. That chief. He's something else, eh, pals? Detective Gumshoe! Not detective anymore. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Don't worry. I already decided where to work now. At your office. My office? Sure. I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with. Could he mean Maya? Yeah, I don't think he would be cut out for a law office, but okay, fine. Cool. Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gant's done it again. How he always gets the upper hand. It's not fair. He has the right to refuse testimony. Or to testify, rather. Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said? But Chief, this is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. Risks? What did he mean by that? It's simple. If the Chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too? Oh, you're back. Emma, are you okay? Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery. So she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before. No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I almost feel somehow relieved. Relieved? Yeah, now I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. And she did it all just to protect me. Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside, to force herself to do anything and everything the chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold. It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall. Manslaughter. You didn't have intent, so it's just manslaughter. Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. Want to blame anyone? Blame society, pal. Why? Why? No. Let's continue this line of questioning. Why blame society? Please answer me, Gumshoe, please. Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor. I see. We better get back. It's time for the final act. Emma, why don't you wait here? No. I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth. Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. Oh, crap. I thought this just went going for the entirety. I did not know there was... Oh. Well, this is not going to be the final episode then. Because, yeah, I promised I wouldn't take, like, any more manual breaks, but any natural breaks in the game will still be there. I really thought it'd just continue for the whole thing. Huh. Okay. But then I guess just to make up for this, I won't have, like, a gap in uploads. You know, like I would upload this every other day. So yeah, this will go up today, the day I'm recording it, the day being Friday, and the final part, I'm sure of it, I'm definitely sure it will be the final part, that will go up tomorrow being Saturday. So, yeah, I really thought it just continued for the whole thing. I really don't remember it being broken up into thirds like that. That's, Alright, so next time, we end this, unless I'm forgetting another save point. Whatever. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day, and see you next time for the finale. This time, I mean it. For Let's Play Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Goodbye.